And we're back in the time loop, and technically 3 in one day, although it's more like 3 in one sleep cycle because I haven't slept yet, and it's 7 in the morning. Not much left in me, though. I'm gonna have enough to do this race, take a shower, and then promptly probably pass the hell out. So that'll be like 45 minutes from now, assuming this recording works the first try. Maybe more than that. We're here at, iJuff, as the tuning setup name down there says, just Fuji backwards, because I didn't know what else to do for it. Suddenly pit garage noises. Which is weird, because all of the cars are on the track, parked in the grid spots. We have a big field. One of Marisa's major goals in Time Loop was to outdo all of the other characters from her own series. She doesn't get many opportunities to compete against them outside of all of the games where she's done that. So like 6. 7. If you count the 9th game in the series, which is technically like Puyo Puyo but bullet hell version. I don't know. I don't know, man. Anyway, so that's who I'm playing as. I'm driving Marisa's car. Then we have the governor, Ryan Storm. 91, I think that is. So that's Twin Mill. Reimu is here. I think... I actually don't know which one's which here. I can't read these numbers. I think this is 15. So Reimu is 8th. Then it's XT3. Then Thrasher. Battle Rocket and that are teaming up in this race. Seems fitting. And then K. Olsen. Remember that guy from, like, Extreme Racing, who basically had no real effect on that game either. Wait a minute. Is 91 Gearhead? Okay, so for convenience sake, okay, yeah, so 91 is actually Gearhead there ahead of Reimu. Because Twin Mill is also in the GT3 category, and this red Porsche here. Twin Mill is the only one that it showed any kind of brand loyalty. Both he and Gearhead they always drove Porsche. In all 3 categories. And then Churno is sitting here in GT4. We're a lone representative for that category. Though we are at the home track of the Toho characters, so I think she can do well, but I don't know. Those were short lights, alright. I like how everyone else's lights were on from the start, but not mine. Well, pardon me, Reimu. I thought Marisa was the aggressive one. Jeez. That's 3 wide, that doesn't look too fun. Thrasher just kind of barges Governor out of the way. As do I, because I just suddenly got very not turning. I was caught totally off guard, and that just denied Thrasher. Locking up some, but I did get it stopped, which is the most important part. Well, I figured Marisa would have an easy time beating her protagonist rival here, but... you know, from starting ahead of her on the starting grid, but that only does so much. Because Reimu suddenly started seeing red. I guess it makes sense, she's got a red car and she wears red. But even in the BMW Slipstream, I've still got just about the same kind of top speed as that Ford. Just about. Being the keywords. And she's just going for it all here. I think Marisa would have forced that, but I'm not her, so I'm going to wait. That felt awkward. This seems right. Reimu versus Marisa. It's like Ryu versus Ken, but a lot cuter and a lot more interesting. I say a lot more interesting because Ken wins every time. What now? I had your slipstream. You are powerless to stop the Corvette. It's time to drag race. Nobody else is in sight. It's just the Toho protagonist duking it the heck out. And that is the end result of waiting for the AI to kill each other. I probably shouldn't be getting conservative yet, because I never know when those crazy Fords are just going to send it. Especially if I mess something up. Which is not at all impossible that I will do that. Well, Marisa, you're leading the biggest field in time loop history, and in order to get to the lead, you have to beat your probably best friend and probably closest rival. Are you happy with yourself? I certainly hope you are. Here's a beastly lap. And here's me totally not braking correctly. I like how I'm sitting here checking the brake bias, like that wasn't completely my fault for braking like a complete maniac. And with that one stupid decision, look who's back on my taillights. Starting to get a bit of that eye burn thing from being awake too long, which I guess is going to tend to happen when I've been awake for 14 hours. I think it would take a little longer considering I slept for 11 because I'm a crazy person and don't know how to sleep correctly, like ever. I don't think I ever knew how to sleep correctly. At this point I'm like, Patchouli, I'm basically nocturnal. But also, like Patchouli, I stay indoors all day because otherwise my asthma is gonna go nuts. Unlike Patchouli, I cannot summon all of the elements of the earth to throw at people. As great as that would be in most public settings, I cannot. Oh. That said, there's a lot of things characters can do that I wish I could do. Or I think that's kind of the case for just about anybody. Some would probably say that Nichiru would be kind of an unusual type of character to have as a role model in any faction. Well, it's a very modernistic role model, especially for somebody who no longer needs, you know, the typical encouraging, like, young character figure. I am 18. I no longer. I do not. Pick a sentence, Riker. I no longer require a role model which encourages me to brush my teeth when I get up in the morning. As much as I could definitely use a role model that encourages me to actually get up in the morning. A role model that is not an alarm clock, because darn that. I had to, like, make sure I didn't crash. Anyway. Where was I? Right, yeah. Nitri, in a sort of ironic sense, she is, like I said, a role model for the modern world. A role model for how somebody with, as I say, a minor mental disposition to get ahead in the world by scamming the general populace and getting incredibly sarcastic when questioned about it. I mean, isn't that what everybody else does nowadays, especially business-savvy people? Oh, hello, grass. Not to mention, with Toho kind of being a game of a series of characters who play just pronoun games and be incredibly vague. The fact that Nitori is a character that just says not only what's always says whatever is on her mind, but says it blatantly. Like, I can think of a ton of examples, but there's a lot of times in these games where characters are defeated and they'll just be like, as the protagonist like walking away, it's like, we'll see what awaits you at the end of this path. Wahaha. But then here's Nitori like, by the way, it's dangerous if we go any further. Like, it could not be any more simply delivered. Just like, I would not recommend going past here. Of course, the player character doesn't listen to it, because if they did, there wouldn't be a game. But, you know. Certainly better than the guessing game that a lot of the other characters in Toho projects kind of create for no apparent reason. I know I mentioned before the Nürburgring GPUs in my top 10 racetracks. This is easily top 3. Maybe top 5, I don't know. And the top 3 is Suzuka, Spain, Watkins Glen. This is probably 4th. Or Suzuka, Barcelona, Catalonia. And then Watkins Glen. And then this is 4th. Alright, we're halfway through the race. Should be, I think if I'm counting right, which I probably am, 7 laps to go. Because we can run 3 laps in 5 minutes. Double that makes 6, and then add another minute 40 to the counter, and you get a 7th lap. Quick maths. I'm going to start to hit GT4 traffic. Luckily, on this kind of track, with the speed deficit the way it is, just about any corner is a passing zone, as long as I don't drive like an idiot, and I do not catch them in the long right-hand corner. Which, of course, now that I've said that, I'm probably going to have to pass like 3 cars in a row there, so I'm just shooting myself in the foot right now. Nota's already moving for me, meanwhile I'm already waiting for it. And this guy just does not want any part of me being interference, does he? This is a Porsche. You also made extra sure to not be anywhere near my path. The blue flag AI are actually decent in this game. I didn't really notice until having to lap GT traffic, but they are actually usually smart with reading what the player is going to do about them. And, like, reacting to that. See how Cherno is doing. Haven't passed her yet, so that's a good sign that she is having success. He puts himself in the grass to make sure he's not in my way. This guy's really determined to get out of the way, which I appreciate, but also just kind of confusing. That didn't feel great. Car is adjusting kind of poorly to these nighttime conditions. Oh, damn, Cerno is leading the class. I've missed. Alright, lap traffic is cleared. I don't think I'll be catching the GT3 cars by the end of the race. Maybe this were a half an hour event, perhaps. And I only lost like a grand total of 3 seconds lapping all of those cars. Meanwhile, Reimu may lose like tens of seconds, assuming she's still the car in second place. I would think so. It looks like she's got a pretty good distance from the rest of the GTEs, not GT3s. There's a very ominous mountain deck there with no lighting behind it. I swear, man, I do some of my best driving in this game when I'm like half tired, like halfway, like dead tired. Also, front of the car is no slower at night as I just went faster than I did in the daylight. And that should be about 2 laps left to go. And the daylight should start to come back any minute now. But not by much by the end of the race. As the race is going to end at like 7:30 in the morning in game time. It is spring. In-game date is just set to the real life date, so it's March 22nd. Now see the sky is beginning to change colors. Let's go faster still. As we begin the final lap. Also seems foggy. Maybe that's me. I don't know if it's foggy or not. Well, it's supposed to be clear, so that's just me being weird. This maybe was foggy before, and it's the transition period between it. And that's just telling me, it's telling me there what's next, not what's currently happening. And exiting the final turn right as the end of the rising sun. There you go. A commanding victory for Marisa in her home track at Fuji. And another fastest lap, just to add to it. Possibly partially helped by the fact that the vehicle setup is just a modified version of one that I had used from a racing league. I had kind of a racing league which I never actually participated in because right when this race was about to happen, my power went out for 3 hours. And I'm leading that championship as we speak, so it's not held me back too much, I guess. But yeah, I just really wanted to confirm this race went well. And went enjoyable, because I'm not fully awake right now, and I didn't want to have to deal with the car that hated me. really wishing I could have done that league race. I'm even more so wishing I could have done that league race, because that would have been like 2 more hours of that. Yeah, Rainbow still definitely held on to second. Thrasher gets third. Thrasher doing quite well in these forwards. Rainstorm holds station in 5th. Governor drops to 7th though. Gearhead in 8th, and XT3 in last. I just realized we had like 3 major pairings in this race. We had Reimu versus Marisa, we had XT3 and Gearhead, and we had that versus Battle Rocket. Speaking of which... Man, our guys crushed it down in GT3. K. Olsen wins that class. What? What? That's not supposed to happen, that. What the heck are you doing? That still got second, and Twin Mill takes third. Battle Rocket lost a little bit of ground, came in 5th. Now, eventually, Juno was topped for the win of that class. Makes sense, the Toyotas aren't great for their straight line speed, and we had a lot of straight lines on this track. But, every Toyota in the race came in right behind that Porsche. Surprised this Porsche didn't do more. You can see the pace separation here too. Reimu's fastest lap was a 1 minute 40. The fastest GTE was basically a minute 43. And then the fastest GT4 was a minute 48. So not counting me, it's a 10-second per lap deficit between the fastest car and the slowest. We'll use this shot, it's not gonna take too long to get. God, the Ford sounds so annoying at 5 times speed. Oh, hi, Sonic. Kind of interesting too, because I think Sega makes the figurines for Toho characters, or has made some anyway. Oh, that's a great picture. Great job on that one. Oh my god. What the heck was that? Well, I don't know why it took that much, but there we go. Shutter speed at 950. Sort of ironic considering the fact that there were no Sonic characters in the race. Instead we had like 3 Toho characters and Thresher. That was for external non-Hot Wheels characters. Everybody else was Hot Wheels, ironically. I'd like to make a mention of Kay Olsen in this race as well. Reminder who this guy actually is. Technically, we met him in Extreme Racing. We being the Hot Wheels characters. And an aggressive start put him ahead of Battle Rocket and that Mercedes he started behind. He actually almost went around. He does go around XT3 on the outside for a moment. That does the same and also gets his way up to Gearhead there. And eventually, you know, after some time, these GTE cars will subside and the GT3s will be left to their own devices. But that and Kay Olsen basically took on the wrong class for the first lap of the race. And by using, no, I actually don't know what all he does here. I think I'm kind of reacting this real time. You know, speed up at 3 times speed. Something gives way eventually. Kay Olsen must have some kind of crazy attack on that puts him in the lead. I don't know how long it takes though, we might be here for a while. Of course, at this point in time is about when me and Reimu are having the drag race down the front straightaway. Oh yeah, I think I know how this gets done. He just does something a little bit chaotic into that first turn. He just like picks him off. That's obviously how this gets done. Also, Twinmill used his aggression as well to get past Battle Rocket. So really, Battle Rocket didn't do bad, but he just didn't have a good start. You can see how bad the turbo leg is on the Acura, but it actually has better straight line speed. And there's the move. And he just doesn't look back. I assume he gets to a couple of medium speed turns like this and that's out of his rear view. And they basically stay they all basically all stay like this. Now, apparently, eventually, this guy passes Battle Rocket, but anyway. Yeah, so good day for this guy, because this is a pretty major race to win, category-wise, or race win-wise. 30 cars in a race. This is the first time we've done that since the Mega Duty Track Day, and that was back around episode 20-ish. And they're not even, like, these GT3s are not really losing XT3 and this Aston Martin either.